So, I had elbow surgery last summer, and I rehabbed that all off season, and we had a setback in spring training, um, which was the timing of it was tough, because I was pretty far along in that process. I was doing really well, so the season already was looking very different than I had hoped it would, and I had to take like a month off of throwing, and that set me back time wise. But I got to a point where I finally graduated from Florida and started pitching in rehab, on rehab assignment. And in late June, I partially tore the patella tendon in my right knee. At which point, um, I found out that I dealt with tendonitis in that knee for quite a while, and unfortunately, at that point, it was pretty far torn up. It was already too torn up for the cleanup surgery. So our only option really was to try to rehab it and see if we could get everything else in the leg to be as strong as possible, and really just see how far I could get by the end of the season. And I did a lot of work mentally, because that was really tough. So I did a lot of work mentally with our mental skills coach. I was working with him every day, because I thought about calling it right then. Um, as the schedule worked out, we had two off days. I was with Rochester, and we had two off days. So I thought about it, and I said, my goal is at that point. My goal became, it no longer was about getting back to the big leagues. It was like, let's just see how much progress I can make by the end of the season. And so I went to Florida with a much different mindset, and I threw myself into the work, and I enjoyed it. I mean, we stripped it down to the studs, and we were trying to strengthen every part of the leg that we could, and I was making progress. I felt like it just got to a point where I had an outing, which was at the time was hopefully going to be my last outing in Florida. And it just wasn't going to let me do it. It went pretty much all the way. And the work that I had done, up to that point, changing my mindset into a more process oriented mindset. Um, I was pretty, when I got the news about my knee, I mean, I knew what it meant for me. I put everything that I had into the rehab processes over the last 2 years to try to pitch again here at Nats Park. I did everything I could, and I think that's why today, for me, like, this is a happy day. Like, I don't have any regrets. I did everything that I could, um, and I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the process of working on that stuff, and trying to change my mechanics to see if I could figure out a way to take the stress off my knee and still be effective. And also working with the young guys that were down there was a lot of fun too. So I still was getting a ton of fulfillment out of it. I was enjoying it. Unfortunately, like, by the end, my body just wasn't going to let me keep doing it. I mean, it's the World Series for sure. Like, and even inside that, like, I mean, oh my gosh, like, it's hard to narrow it down to just one, because that whole month was so special. The wild card game, and the way that we won that game, and the party we had in the clubhouse after, and winning Game 5 in LA, and advancing to the National League Championship Series. I mean, the World Series parade, I think, might be a highlight. Sharing it with the fans. I think that's, for me, that was just so special. The way the fans supported us. I mean, it's really hard to narrow it down to just one. But October of 2019 is impossible to beat. No, I did not imagine that when I got traded over here. And I was just talking about it with Riz, and how, like, I had heard my name come up in rumors, in Oakland in previous trade deadlines, and nothing ever happened. And that morning, I was getting ready for the game like normal, and it was still 2 weeks before the deadline. So, like, I didn't think if anything happened, I didn't think it was going to happen anytime soon. And Bomel called me into his office, and David Force, the assistant GM at the time, was sitting on the couch, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Where am I going?" I guess, and found out I was coming here, and I was like, I looked at, I mean, I was aware of how good that team was doing that year, and I was like, why do they want me? Like this team, these names, like they think I can help, like, and it helped a lot that I was going with Ryan Madsen, who had, by that point we'd been in Oakland for a year and a half together, and he had already made a huge impact on my career, and so to come over. I knew some guys over here. I knew Max. I knew Zim from college. I knew Gio a little bit from the A's. I knew Wieters a little bit, so that helped me kind of settle in, and I felt, really at home. And then I felt at home in the clubhouse, and the way the city and the fans embraced us made us feel like we'd been here for quite a while. So it was a smooth transition, and um, I think like the one thing that I was nervous about was the way like the fans had accepted me in Oakland. Like I had a really special bond with the fans in Oakland. And that's something like I'm super grateful for. I'll never forget. And like I, you know, wasn't sure if I was ever going to be lucky enough to experience that again. And, the way Nats fans embraced us, I couldn't be more appreciative of that.
Being a happy day, but this decision to leave baseball has it been an emotional and difficult?
Oh yeah, it's emotional for sure. Like this is all I've ever wanted to do. And this was a dream that I've had since I can barely remember. When I was a kid, like we had a season ticket package to A's games, and like I grew up, I fell in love with baseball going to those games, and um, baseball. I played all sports growing up. Baseball was always my favorite, and as I've thought about this decision, I've thought back to the sacrifices my family had made, my parents, driving me to lessons and practice, and always after I got my homework done. But tournaments and showcases, and they sacrificed so much time and energy rearranging family vacations so that we could play baseball in the summer, and like all the stuff that went into it, and you know just in general encouraging this dream that I had. I mean, um, and high school and college and the journey through the minor leagues, and it's like, wow, like there were times where I've been like, man, like I'm never gonna play again. Like that is sad, but like I'm so like I I've been so lucky that like as I look back on those moments, like the gratitude outweighs like the sadness. So like I like I'm I'm kind of at a loss for words because like everything just keeps coming back to how appreciative I am of all the opportunities that I've had in my career.
Still fresh, but if you want to stay around.
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot, and as you get older in your career, I think it's natural to think about. I've had a bunch of injuries, so I've had time to think about it too. Um, but one thing I kept coming back to is like I gotta I might be done playing baseball, but I'm not sure if I'm done with baseball. I have a ton of passion and energy left for baseball, and especially everything that I learned, over the last 3, 4, 5 years, trying to keep my career going. Um, I've learned so much, and I've experienced so much throughout my career, and I found myself like I got a ton of fulfillment out of working with other guys and trying to help the young guys the way that guys helped me when I was young, when I was coming up in the league and stuff. I got a ton of fulfillment from that. So even though I don't know exactly what like it would look like as far as like a specific role, um, I would love to give back to the game. The game did so much for me. I would love to give back to the game and, continue to help the younger generation of players. That's a good question. I haven't thought too much about this yet. Because I think my mark, first of all, is outsized for my career. Like, I saw some people post my numbers today, and like, I played 11 years, that's great, but I was hurt for like almost half of it. So thanks to the union for that. But like, I hope I tried really hard to be a good teammate. Like, I think the route that I took to get to the big leagues, having to switch positions after dealing with injuries, it grounded me with a perspective on how fragile of an opportunity it is to play baseball. And all you can ask for is a chance. And I was very lucky that I got a second chance when the A's came to me and said, "What do you think about pitching? You want to try that again?" Um, so like, I was well aware of how fragile it was, and I tried really hard to never take that for granted. I hope people saw how much I enjoyed playing this game and how much it meant to me to be able to put on a big league uniform. I tried to be open and honest, with you guys and with the fans, because I felt like I owed it to fans. I think as players, we owe it to fans so that we can form that connection with them. And I mean, the fans are what it's all about. Like I said before, I've been so lucky to have been embraced by two different incredible fan bases, and um, so I don't know. I'll leave that to you guys. What role does it? Oh yeah, no. Now that I have time, I'm gonna make sure everybody has their trash cans out on time on the street, and make sure they bring them back in by the next night. I'll make sure they have their leaves cleaned up. I don't know. I mean, we love living here. This is home for us. So DC, they're stuck with us. Yeah. Um, I'm incredibly proud of that season. And I was lucky to be named to a couple All-Star teams, but I'm most proud of that season, because of um, really, it was a bit of a roller coaster. I started off okay, and then some of the usage and just the workload kind of caught up to me in August, and I had to press pause and go on the IL for a little bit. But when I came back in September and through the rest of the playoff run, that was some of the best baseball I ever pitched in my career. And going all the way back to when I was switching positions back in 2011 with the A's, I had this mantra of what do you want the story to be? And that's how I always tried to look at my career. And it was like, in that moment in August, it was like, well, this I want the story to be that, through forget all the ups and downs of the first half of the season. I want to come out. I'm going to use these 2 weeks to press reset and get my body right. And I'm gonna be a guy for this team. I want Davey to feel like he can depend on me as we push for the playoffs and as we play into October. And um, that was my whole mindset. And to be able to have been able to contribute the way that I did down the stretch in the playoffs, like, that's one of the things. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of in my career.
Davey joked that he could see you as mayor. Politics in your future?
I got one vote, I guess. So I don't no, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I appreciate the sentiment. I appre- that, I'm trying to give a straight answer. No, I don't. No, I don't think so. Um, I think I see it kind of going hand in hand. Like I was able to pitch well enough and contribute to wins on the field enough that like whenever I ran my mouth, like people listened and they paid attention. I mean, let's be honest. Like I probably like I know like I stressed Kyle out a bunch because I would like tweet something and I'd show up to the field the next day and he'd be like, "Oh, they want to talk to you." Like so, like, but you know, you have to back that up. I mean, I felt like I had to back it up with performance on the field so that I continued to have a platform. If I wasn't pitching well, like it might not have had as much of an impact. I think that's just the reality of it. So like I thought they went hand in hand. I you know, baseball obviously was always like my priority. It's what I wanted to do my whole entire life. So I made sure to take care of that. And that was in its proper place before I would think about speaking out on anything or do anything like that. Um, so I think they're tied together.
You made a point of thanking fans here in DC.
Mhm.
If you could just elaborate on what this community.
I mean, they embrace us from day one. You know, like I said, like I was really we were really nervous coming over here from Oakland, and I mean, at the time, like I'd been with that organization for 10 years, so we knew everybody from the people, the fans to the security guards and the ushers and everybody that worked around the ballpark, and it was like that was the first time I got thrown out of my comfort zone. But you really you really are when you're challenged like that, from getting pushed out of your comfort zone, like that's when you have an opportunity to really grow. And the fans welcoming us in from day one, made the transition really, really easy, as easy as it could have been. So, right from the get go, it felt like they were in our corner. And for the 5 seasons that I was here, the relationship I felt only got stronger. So I'm grateful to the fans. They supported me, through some really tough times, and I mean they stuck with me, and I mean we'll never forget that. All right, thank you guys.